Hello everyone, Jackie Edwards here. Thank you so much for joining me for this third video in our three-part video series. Today we are going to be talking about the 5 reasons that your rent-to-rent business isn't successful yet and what to do to fix them. Now, if you are just tuning in for the first time to this series, make sure you head back and watch the first 2 videos. Now, that first video is the 5 things you must do before getting started in your rent-to-rent business. So that is a pretty key video because I give you kind of basically a list of here's what you need to do when you're getting started to make sure that you're giving yourself the best foundation possible for your rent-to-rent business. We also cover a bit of an introduction to me in that video, so if you've never seen me before, if you want to learn a bit more about me, definitely make sure you go check out that video because I'm not going to cover it all again. In the second video, we talked about, does rent-to-rent still work? So in light of all of the regulation and legislation changes, all the kind of anti-landlord, anti-agent sentiment in the UK right now, is rent-to-rent still a viable strategy? And I walked through, some of the major changes like Section 24, Brexit, some of the major things that are happening today, and how I thought they impacted a rent-to-rent business. So if any of those things are concerns to you, if you've been worried about, what is the viability of rent to rent in today's world and in today's market, then definitely go back and check out video number 2. Which then brings us to today's video. Again, video number 3. This is our third and final video in the series, and probably my favorite one because these are just things that I see people make mistakes in and just get confused about over and over and over and over again in their rent-to-rent businesses. Again, when you're getting up and running. So I've got some really key things that I think will really help you get your business moving and flowing just a little bit more smoothly. So let's jump in and chat about them. So the very, very first thing that I think you need to be doing, and the thing that I see people not doing in their rent-to-rent businesses, is looking professional. Now that sounds super simple and it sounds almost like it doesn't matter. And that's why I think a lot of people miss it. They're super excited to, jump out there and do lots of viewings and find all the deals, that they forget that they're starting a business and that you need to make sure you look like a business. You want to go to somebody and manage one of their biggest assets, their property. Now that's probably one of their, their most expensive, their most costly asset. They want to make sure the person that's doing that is professional and credible. So you need to take steps to make sure you present yourself that way. Because it's different than a lot of other property investment strategies where, you're just going to buy somebody's house. And most people don't care who they're selling their house to. They just want to get rid of it for the best price that they can. So you can just go dress up as Joe next door or, whatever. You don't need to make a huge effort. And in fact, a lot of strategies are based around, having ugly signs or not looking super professional. I think it's very, very different in rent to rent. I think that you want to look professional and you want to look credible because you're not buying that property. That owner still has risk because that's their property. They want it to stay in good condition. They want to make sure the tenants are happy and they're not going to get stuck with something if all of a sudden your company goes bankrupt and you run away. They need to make sure they can trust you and they can rely on you and that you're professional and credible. And how that looks is slightly different for everybody. So, you don't have to go suited and booted if that's not your style. You can still be you, but you need to make sure that you're bringing the best version of you that's going to make the property owner or the agent feel comfortable with you. So you need to think through, who are you going to be meeting with? If you're meeting with an agent, then you're going to maybe want to present yourself slightly differently than if you're just going and meeting a property owner. And if your property is in, Mayfair in London, you might want to dress a little bit differently or act a little bit differently than you would if it's, somewhere out in the countryside in Wales, for instance. So people are going to have different prejudices, they're going to have different ways of themselves dressing, and you almost want to mimic that person because that's what's going to make them feel comfortable. People like people that are like themselves. So, you want to come across as, as open and friendly and as similar to them as possible. Now, it isn't just how you're dressing is how you look professional. It's also thinking about your business and your branding. So, do you have a website? for your rent to rent business? I would say if you don't, then you probably should, because in today's world, one of the first things I do personally when I'm looking to work with, a new company or, a new professional is I'll Google them and I want to look at their website and read through what they say on there. So if you don't have a website, you're missing a trick, I think. Now, doesn't need to be thousands of pounds to put together. It doesn't need to have full SEO. I mean, people aren't going to be like finding you just through Google, but it's for when people have already gotten your letter or they've already spoken to you and they just want to have a look at your website to see a bit more about who you are and how you feel. So that's what your website should portray. It should kind of portray what are your values, what's important to you and to your company. How is your company going to be able to help your clients? So getting that information across in your website in as simple a manner as possible is what you're looking to do. You also want to have a professional email address. If your email is joe@gmail.com or at hotmail.com or at btinternet.com, then that is not a professional email. It should be joe@joescompany.com. And that's super easy to do. I use Google still for my email, so it looks like when I log in on my phone or on my computer, I log into Gmail. But my email is jackie@jackiescompany.com. So when a landlord's talking to me or when an agent's talking to me and I give them my email address, it looks professional. It looks like I've just put that little bit of extra effort in and got a real email address instead of just using a free Hotmail address. So it's just those little step ups that you need to think about. You also should be thinking about marketing material. When you talk to a letting agent, they're going to have a couple of pamphlets or brochures or something that they're going to leave with the landlord. Even it might just be a business card. So it's thinking through what can you give to the property owner or to the agent that will give them as much information in as simple a manner as possible. Something that when you go away, they can still have something to think about you with. And you need to remember that everybody learns and takes in information differently. So some people are going to be great just talking to you one on one, and that's all they need. Other people need a bit more detail. So they're going to need to read that information that you give them. They're going to want to kind of digest it overnight, be able to show, their family or their significant other. So having, just that simple marketing brochure. Again, nothing super complicated. I used to print mine from my printer at home, so it wasn't anything very fancy, but it just has to have a little bit of information on how you work and how you can help people and who you are. So those are some of the key thoughts around being professional. You want to look like somebody that property owner or that agent can trust because you're going to be taking on their biggest asset. So really think about what is your appearance saying to people? Does it say that you're pulled together and you can handle any situation? Or does it say, oh my God, I just got off a busy day at work and I'm frazzled and I'm a bit stressed and I don't know what to do? Are you exuding calmness and confidence? Or are you exuding, I'm really nervous, I've never done this before, I don't know what to say, I'm terrified, I just won't say anything? People can pick up on that. And you're not going to be perfect at first. So it does take time to build this up and to get comfortable and to practice. But that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to share this information with you, to give you these little tips and tricks on how you can make it smoother and easier so that you're not starting from absolute scratch. You're able to kind of just build it up slowly, gently, and with a bit more confidence. So that is the number one reason people aren't ready yet and aren't getting the deals is because they aren't looking professional. The second reason is they aren't doing enough viewings. Now, this is almost where the chicken and egg starts because, yeah, it's great if you look professional, but if you're not doing viewings, then it doesn't matter how professional you look. It doesn't matter how great your website is if you aren't doing any viewings. So, what are you going to be able to do to get more viewings? And it's kind of like what comes first? Do you look professional first, or do you get viewings first and then look professional? So I think you need to work on both of them at the same time. So as you're building your website and building your brand and making yourself look more professional and confident, you need to be working on how can you get to the viewings and doing more viewings. So a big mistake I see people make is they'll go and look at a couple of properties, then they'll come to me and be like, Jackie, this rent to rent stuff doesn't work. Nobody wants to work with me. They don't understand what I'm doing. I'm giving up. I'll say, well, how many viewings have you done? They'll be like, oh, I've done 3. 3 viewings is not enough to know if rent to rent works in your area or if you'll be able to find people that work with you. It is just nowhere near enough. So rent to rent is a numbers game. You need to be doing as many viewings as possible. You need to, I would say when I got started, I was doing 10 to 20 viewings a week. Now, lots of those viewings were with agents until my kind of marketing got up and running, and then I was doing viewings with landlords. But you might not have the time to do that, and that's fine. So maybe you can only do 1, 2, 3 viewings in a week, but then you can't just give up after 1 week if everybody said no, because most people are going to tell you no. Again, no matter how professional you look, how awesome your website is, how many bells and whistles you've got in your marketing papers, most landlords are going to say no to you. Most agents are going to say no to you because it's not right for them. Rent to rent is not right for every property owner. But you don't need all of them. You don't need all the properties. You only need a couple to make this work. So if you think you're making a minimum of 500 pounds a property, what do you need? 5 properties to make 2.5 grand a month? That's profit. I mean, for most people, that's pretty good, especially just to start with. So you don't need everybody to say yes to you. You want to find the right properties. And in order to do that, you need to do the viewings. You need to get out there, you need to present yourself, you need to practice, and you need to view as many properties as possible. We talked about this a little bit in the last videos, but it also means you won't have as much time for everything that you want to do. You might have to cut back a little bit on your social life. You might have to cut back a little bit on, all the episodes you're watching. Luckily, Game of Thrones is done now, so we don't have to worry about taking time out for that. But you need to make sure that you're getting out there and you're putting the time and effort into your business. And viewings is the only way you're going to get a property. So if you aren't doing viewings, you're never going to get a property. You're never going to get a deal. So you have to do as many viewings as it takes. Now, in the beginning, it's going to take you longer to turn a viewing into a deal because you aren't as experienced. You don't know exactly what to say. You aren't as comfortable and confident as you will be in the future. So you might have to do 50 viewings to get your first deal. Maybe you only have to do 20 because you already work in a sales role and you're good at talking to people. Maybe like me, you're not as good with people and you're not used to talking to people and building relationships and building rapport. So it's going to take you more viewings. You have to be ready to do what it takes and do as many viewings as it takes to make it work. Everybody's going to have a different number of viewings. Everybody's going to have a little bit different idea of what to do on that viewing, and it's going to take time. But that's what it is to start a business. This is not easy. This is not a get rich quick scheme. You need to have the time and effort into it. So if you go back to the first video where we talked about kind of planning and that type of thing, that's what's going to help you kind of set your schedule and figure out how much time do I need to set aside for my business? How much time do I have for it? And what is reasonable to do in that amount of time? And what are the key things I need to be doing? So you need to be setting up your website, you need to be making your marketing material, you need to be doing your budget, and all the other stuff we've talked about in the other videos, but you also need to be doing viewings. And before you give up and before you say rent to rent doesn't work, you need to be out there and doing those viewings. So make sure you look professional, make sure you're doing viewings. You need to be doing them pretty much at the same time because you can't say, oh, but I'm professional. Now I've not got the deals because you have to do the viewings. But you can't really do the viewings until you've got your professional marketing material and stuff done. And then to throw another little curveball in there, how do you get viewings until you've started doing your marketing to get the leads? So without having leads in place, you're not going to be able to do the viewings to even use all that awesome professional marketing that you've put together. So getting the leads is kind of the third reason I see that people aren't super successful in their rent-to-rent business yet. They are not really bringing in the leads. If you think of it like a funnel, so the more leads you have, the more landlords, the more agents you have to talk to, the more people you're sending letters to, marketing to, the more people that are coming in the top of the funnel, the more people you're going to have as they narrow out and as people go away, the more you're going to have dripping out the bottom of your funnel. It's a numbers game. So you need to do what you can to get as many leads as possible. Now, I wanted to take you through a couple of options for getting leads. There are many, many more. There's lots of things that you can do, and there's lots of ways that you can tweak it. Don't have time in a short, quick video. So yes, I've got way more information everywhere else. So you can get more information on this if you need. But to get started with some of the key places I see and I tell people to go for leads. First of all, it depends a little bit on what your end strategy is. Are you doing HMOs or service accommodation? But let's start with HMOs. If you want to do rent to rent with HMOs, the biggest lead getter that I've seen and that I've seen work for my students and that worked for me is getting a list of the licensed HMOs from your local council. Now, I know everybody talks about it. I know everybody teaches it. Everybody does it. You hear everybody sending these HMO letters. That's because it works. And if you aren't sending letters, the landlord's not going to call you. They're going to call somebody that sent them a letter. So it is just an absolute no-brainer if you want to do HMOs. If you want to deal with HMOs in any capacity in property investing, you should be getting the list of licensed HMOs from the local council, and you should be sending them letters. Now, I've got letter templates that you can get on courses or in my books. You can get the templates for some ideas of what those letters should say. But the first step is going to your local council, either on their website or talking to their HMO department and getting the list of licensed HMOs. And then you will be sending that landlord a letter that says, here's how I can help you with my rent to rent solution. You won't say it exactly like that, but that's the gist of the letter. So that is marketing method number one. And if you're doing HMOs, that is the best one. Another marketing method is just going on Rightmove. Super easy. It's free. Just pop on Rightmove. Whether you're doing HMOs or service accommodation, you'll be able to look at properties there for what you want to do. So if you're looking for HMOs, maybe you're going to search for 3, 4, 5 bedroom houses. If you're going to do service accommodation, maybe you're searching for 1 or 2 bedroom houses. But look at all those properties on Rightmove, with the caveat that you need to set yourself a time limit, because I know how easy it is to just get sucked into Rightmove and all of a sudden the entire day has gone by and all you've done is looked at Rightmove. So you need to be really, really focused and really understand what your goal is on Rightmove. So when you get on there, say, I am going to spend an hour. My goal is to find 10 properties that I can message the agent about and set up viewing for. Or my goal is to get 5 properties. My goal is to get 20 properties that I'm going to message the agent about. And you don't want to find the perfect property. So you're not on Rightmove to look at every single floor plan and assess every deal based on those numbers and, figure out the entire deal before you even call the agent. No. Again, if you're looking at service accommodation, you want to look at some 1 and 2 bedroom flats. So pull up all the 1 and 2 bedroom flats, maybe pull up the map view, and you'll know which area is probably best in your kind of location for service accommodation, which ones are closest to the tourist attractions or closest to like the business center, and start looking at just those properties there. And look at the price ranges. So maybe you won't be able to afford the most expensive properties in the Rightmove list. So maybe just go to the middle of the list and just start messaging the agents for those properties. Short message that just says, I'm interested, I'm working for a company. We do like company lets. We're interested in looking at this property on a long-term lease. When can we set up a viewing? So just keeping it super simple like that. Do not spend 3 hours analyzing each and every property that pulls up, because people make mistakes. So agents, they don't spend a lot of time writing these property descriptions up. They make mistakes on floor plans. So, it could say this is a 2-bedroom house when really it's a 3-bedroom house, but they just left a bedroom off on the floor plan. Or they made a mistake in the description. So you can't take everything that's in that description as what's exactly about that property. I mean, they can take pictures that look absolutely unlike anything that's in that property. So the best way to do it is see it. And when you are just getting started, like we just talked about, the more viewings you do, the better. So don't discount any properties unless they're like wildly out of your price range. Don't discount those properties. Go and do the viewing. Get the practice doing the viewing. Get the practice sharing your marketing material and your professionalism and your little spiel that you've got. Get that practice in there. That's what getting all of these leads is for. You want to get as many leads as possible so you can do as many viewings as possible, so you can show as many people as possible your credibility and how you can help them. That's how you're going to make rent to rent work. So Rightmove, Just find a few properties, set a goal, find some properties that you think will work, and send those agents a message to set up a viewing. You don't even have to get into detail with the agent that you're with a company and you want to do long-term lets. You could just call, talk to the receptionist, and set up a viewing. I mean, most of the time you're talking to the receptionist, they don't really give a shit what you're doing. They don't really care. They just want to schedule the viewing. They're just an employee. They just want to get their day done. So it can just be that simple. And then once you get to the viewing, you can talk to them a bit more about how you want to work and how you can help. So keep it simple. Let's see. So we've talked about HMO lists. We've talked about going on Rightmove. Another really good one is Spare Room. Now, Spare Room is kind of the leading platform for room rentals in the UK. So I suggest if you're doing serviced accommodation, have a look at Spare Room for properties that are being advertised. Some landlords advertise their one bedroom and their studio flats on Spare Room, so you could get directly to the landlord that way. If you want to do HMOs, it's just a little bit trickier because these landlords are really just advertising usually one room available in an entire house. So again, you can still message that landlord. I wouldn't message them pretending to be a tenant that you want to do a viewing and then spring rent to rent on them. But you can just send them a message. If they're not interested, they'll just tell you no and you can move on. Gumtree, very similar. Lots of landlords will advertise their properties themselves on Gumtree. And different methods work better in different areas. So for instance, I used Gumtree in my area in Oxford. I looked on there, there's very, very rarely anybody advertising properties on there. People do advertise rooms on there, but again, it's not as popular as Spare Room is. So Spare Room has a lot more on there, especially kind of some of the 1 and 2 bedroom flats. Whereas in your area, Gumtree might be more popular. So you'll have a lot of options on Gumtree. So it's about trying them all out and seeing what works for you. Another option is having an ad in your local newspaper. Now, this can be a bit more expensive option. So remember back to video number 1, we talked a little bit about budgeting. You need to make sure any of these advertising methods and any of these lead generating methods fit into your budget. Now, newspaper ads are a bit more pricey. They take a little bit longer to see results from because people need to see your ad a few times in the newspaper before they're ready to call you. But that's how we got our very first deal, and it was actually one of our very best deals, is through that newspaper ad that we put on there. Again, it was just a small ad. Attention landlords, we can guarantee your rent. Call us on and our phone number. So we had a couple of calls through there. Of course, most people said no, but I did find one landlord that I was able to do the viewing. I was able to build up my credibility with, build up my reputation with them, build up that rapport with them. And over time, it didn't happen overnight, but over time, I built that relationship up enough that he was happy to choose us to manage his property and to work with us. Since then, we have actually purchased that property from him, where he paid the deposit to us as a loan and has since loaned us a whole lot of additional money to fund property purchases. So all of these methods work. It's just finding which ones work the best for you and within your plan and within your budget and within your kind of time constraints. So it's trying and testing out as much as you can to see how you can get as many leads as possible. So getting as many leads as possible is number 3 on the reasons your rent-to-rent business isn't running. Because I'll see people again that say, oh, but everybody's sending HMO letters, so I'm not going to send them because everybody else is doing it. Again, everybody else is doing it because it works. And if you're not doing it, they're going to call everybody else before you ever get a chance to see that property. Everybody else is talking to agents on Rightmove because it works. They will get some properties from there. So the more ways that you have of getting viewings or getting leads, the more success you're going to have in your rent-to-rent business, because that's going to lead to number 2, doing more viewings. The more leads you have, the more viewings you're going to get. And if you're not doing viewings, you're not going to get a property. You're never going to be able to even meet a landlord or negotiate with them if you haven't been able to do a viewing on their property. So you need to get the leads to do the viewings. And in order to kind of work with all of that together, you need to have your marketing material and your professional kind of brand put together of who you are, what you stand for, and how you can help people. So those are my top 3 reasons why you aren't successful with your rent-to-rent business yet. You are missing one or all 3 of these in your business. So what can you do today to start improving that? Can you, go and put together a quick website using something like Weebly or Wix? Can you just go and ask the council for the list of licensed HMOs? Can you call a local agent and set up a couple more viewings? What's going to start moving you forward in your business? How are you going to use what I've talked about to take your business to the next level, to fix those kind of things that are slowing you down and to help you move forward? All right, so I've given you loads of information over these last 3 videos. Now, I can't give you everything in just a short 3-part video series. I would love to. I mean, I give you so much. I've got my books that you can check out. I've got loads of other videos on my YouTube channel. But if you are looking for more, if you are looking to fast track your rent-to-rent success, if you want to build your business bigger and faster, and if you need extra support, if you want kind of that coaching aspect, if you need a bit more of a community, if you need it broken down in a bit more of a system, step by step by step, then I want to share with you my Rent to Rent Mastery program. This is a 6-week program. I've just completely revamped this, so this is brand new coming out, and it is everything that you need to get started with Rent to Rent, step by step by step. So you will get a new module every week, kind of based around a set topic and a set theme of what you should be doing that week to move your business forward. So we will cover some of the stuff that we've covered in these last videos because these are super important things that you need to do, but we'll be going into more detail. And you'll also get group coaching calls with me where you can ask me any of the questions that you've got about your rent-to-rent business. So maybe you go out and do a viewing and you think, oh, was this a good deal or not? You can bring that to me on the group coaching call and we'll run through your deal together. Or you can ask me, oh, I said this to the agent and they asked me this question. What should I have said back to them? And we can talk through some options on how to answer questions that other people are giving you. We talked about marketing templates today. You'll get access to my marketing templates. You'll get access to my contracts that I use with landlords. You'll get access to my HMO letters. You'll get access to all of the documents and templates that I've got available that I've used in my business. They will be there for you to use in your business. So as and when you need them during the week, whichever week we're in, you will get the marketing or the materials that you need to do that section. So it's basically fast tracking your business. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You will have everything you need, everything that I've spent all that time putting together that made my business successful. I will give those to you and you'll be able to tweak them, make them your own, and go out and use them to get your business up and running faster and easier. And for me, the best part about it is all online. So you can do this at home in your own time, in the comfort of your pajamas if you want to. So I love an online program. I'm actually an online course junkie. I take so many of them because I love to learn. And I think learning and getting that knowledge is huge in business. So I love online learning because I know you're all busy. I'm super busy as well, so we don't have time to get together and sit down together constantly to, spend a day learning or the content that's in these videos and then over the 6 weeks would be much, much, much more than just spending a day or even a weekend with me. Like this is loads and loads of time that we would have together, but you'll get to do it as and when it fits. So, after the kids go to bed, early in the morning before everybody else wakes up, you can grab a video or two on your lunch hour. You can listen to me on your commute to work. So you're going to have the opportunity to fit this around your lifestyle and to implement what I'm teaching you real time and come back and ask me those questions in those live group coaching calls, which again, we'll do all online. So this is a really amazing opportunity to get all of the knowledge in what I think is the best way possible, where it will work around your time frame, around your schedule, and you will have this information for like the life of the program. So at the end of 6 weeks, it won't all just go away and then you have to hope you remember everything. You will still have access to all those lessons, all of those videos, so that you'll be able to follow along as and when you need it. You'll be able to refer back to the material anytime that you need to, whether it's 2 years from now and you've got a new property and you're thinking, oh, I forgot what I need to do to get started. Where's that getting started checklist? And you'll be able to come back to that. So that's what I have for you right now. It's called the Rent to Rent Mastery Program. I have some very special offers. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, if you're watching it straight away, you have the most offers where you'll get the early bird special, which is access to me for additional 3 months after the program. You will automatically be joined into my VIP program for 3 months after the 6 weeks is finished, and which includes even more group coaching calls and a little bit more content as well. But basically, the VIP program gives you 2 group calls a month with me, which is absolutely awesome. So again, it's just that continuing support so that when you've got a question, you can get it answered. So that is the key early bird special. So that will be going away quite soon. If you are watching this video quite late after it's been released, you might not get a chance to get that early bird special, but there will be other offers and opportunities that are available, both from me and from some of my partners that I'm working with on this program as well. So I really hope you'll join me. I know that I will be able to give you the information you need to get started. So if you are ready to fast track your rent-to-rent business, then make sure you click the button below. Go to the link wherever you need to see it, however it's working on your screen, whether you're on your phone or whether you're on your laptop, wherever you see that link or that button, click on it to learn more about the program and exactly what is included in the 6 modules, how the online program and online training works, and exactly what to think about, whether it's right for you or not. All that information will be on the next page when you click the link. So with that, thank you so much for joining me for these last 3 videos. I gave you loads of information to take away. I hope you've taken notes. I hope you have an action plan for what you need to implement next in your rent-to-rent business, so that even if I don't see you in the program, you've gotten something from this. I know that you can go and get started right now. So thank you so much, and I will see you again soon.